Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another review, so if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. A lot went down in this episode, so let's just get right into this review. When they all end up going to the club, Sukihana avoids Sapphire because at this point she's not trying to deal with her because she feels like Sapphire is not a real friend. Which I completely agree. Sapphire was in the wrong in last week's episode because she did not have Sukihana's back when she had to go against both Rolly and E.T. And for me, I personally feel like she likes Rolly and E.T. and that's the reason why she didn't want to fight them. I mean, it's either that she likes them or she wants to fit in with them because she wants to make it on another season and she thinks that those are the people that she needs to suck up to in order to get another season on the show. But that just goes to show that she doesn't really have any loyalty to Sukihana in this situation because she should have had her friends back either way. Now, while the girls from House B are having a good time dancing with each other at the club, the girls from House A are having a lot of drama. Because even though Sukihana is avoiding Sapphire, I think one of the girls from House B, I think it was Sky, but I'm not really sure, went up to Sukihana and told her that Mariahlynn wants to fight her and that she's been plotting on her, and so obviously Sukihana is pissed off. Now, one of the things that I thought was weird in this episode was that Rolly and Sukihana were talking and laughing with each other in the club, and I just didn't feel like it made any sense because they said a lot of hurtful and nasty things to each other in the previous episode, and to me, I just would not be able to be cool with somebody that I fought and somebody who had a lot of nasty things to say about me. But at the end of the day, Sukihana and Rolly are adults, so if they want to make up with each other, they can, but to me, it was fake. Now, what was funny to me is that the next day, the girls from House B got together in the kitchen and they were all laughing and talking about how they all had a good time at the club, while the girls from House A were all fighting because if you've been paying attention to this season, a lot of the drama has happened in House B. For some reason, they didn't really have each other's back and they were fighting a lot, but ever since Smiley left, they've all been getting along with each other. But the girls from House A are self-destructing because now they're all turning on each other. We saw Natalie and Scotty get into a physical altercation. Sapphire and Sukihana are not really speaking to each other. And then on top of that, everybody's about to go against Mariahlynn. Now, the girls from House A also end up getting together to talk about what happened the previous night, and obviously Rolly started telling them how her and Sukihana made up with each other. They both apologized and admitted that they were wrong, but I honestly feel like the makeup between the two of them was really fake because I feel like once you fight each other like that and you say those really nasty things to each other, there's really no coming back from that. I feel like you can pretend to be cool with each other and you can act cordial, but as far as you being friends, I don't think it's possible. Now, during this little meeting with the girls from House A, Rolly ended up telling Mariah that Sukihana has a problem with her. And Mariah was acting confused, and I don't understand why she's confused because obviously there has been a little bit of tension between Mariah and Suki this season. And then on top of that, Mariahlynn is a confessional gangster because every time she's in her confessional, she says all the things that she doesn't say to these girls' faces. Now, I'm not saying that she's scary, but she is being a little bit fake. But to me, I feel like conversations work both ways. So if Mariahlynn really was saying all these things about Sukihana, what were the other girls saying in return? And this whole situation made me wonder if, Rolly and some of the girls from House A were the ones who went back and told Sukihana that Mariahlynn was talking about her. I know they showed that Sky was in the club talking to Sukihana and it made it look like she was the one who went back and told Suki about Mariah. And that could be true. But how would Sky know that Mariahlynn has been talking bad about Suki unless one of the girls from House A told her this information? Because at the end of the day, House A and House B don't spend a lot of time around each other. So the only way the girls from House B would know any information about what was being said in House A is if one of the girls in House A went back and told them this information. So to me, it kind of looked like they were plotting against Mariah. Like Mariah thought that she fit in with these girls and that they all got along with her, but really they didn't like her all along because if they're that quick to turn on her, they never liked her to begin with. This just makes me feel like Rolly is being fake with this call out of Mariahlynn because why did she wait until her and Sukihana made up in order for her to decide to call out Mariahlynn for talking about Suki behind her back? Because Rolly and Suki didn't have any issues with each other that we know of until last week's episode when Sukihana and E.T. ended up getting into it. So if Rolly didn't have an issue with Sukihana this entire time, why did she sit there and listen to Mariahlynn talk about her and not check her for it then? I think all the girls in House A have been talking bad about Sukihana, but because they want to take the drama off of themselves, they want to point out Mariahlynn and make it seem like she was the only person that was saying anything about Suki. Sapphire was getting on my nerves during this back and forth between her, Rolly, and Mariahlynn because I just don't understand why she's deciding to now stand up for Sukihana when it comes to Mariah, but when it was Rolly and ET ganging up on Sukihana, she didn't do anything about it. The time for Sapphire to prove that she was a real friend to Sukihana would have been in last week's episode, and I don't understand why now she's trying to prove herself. It just doesn't really make any sense. Now, I don't understand why Rolly is always yelling at somebody, but she was yelling at Mariah like she was Mariah's mother. Like she was pointing in her face, yelling at her. And at one point, ET and Sapphire had to hold her back. I just thought that it was weird because if Rolly really had that much of an issue with Mariahlynn talking about people behind their backs, why didn't she say something when Mariah was doing it? It just didn't make any sense. It looked really fake. And then Rolly and the rest of the girls from House A end up following Mariahlynn outside. And at this point, Mariah is saying that she wants to go home. And so Rolly starts yelling at her some more. She's getting held back by security. She starts throwing things at Mariah. Mariah throws some things back. It just got really, really messy. But honestly, it's hard for me to feel bad for Mariah because when she saw some of the other girls like Biggie and Smiley getting ganged up on by these girls, she sat there and let it happen and she didn't say anything. Now, I know that she would not defend Smiley and I'm not saying that she needed to, but Mariah made a huge mistake when she allowed Sapphire and Sukihana to help her get her chain back from Smiley because they were going to end up using it against her at some point this season, and that's exactly what they ended up doing because now they have an issue with her after they had her back when they first got there. She shouldn't have let them help her at all. And when things started getting a little bit too out of hand, that's when Natalie ended up pulling Mariah aside. And Natalie was being really fake because she sat there trying to pretend like she didn't know what was going on and that the girls are saying that Mariah is talking bad about Sukihana. And that's when Mariahlynn threw them all underneath the bus because she said, we all have been talking about Sukihana. And then she throws Natalie under the bus, which I was glad about. And she said, Natalie, you were saying that Sukihana was a flip-flopper. So basically, they were all talking about Sukihana behind her back, but they're trying to pinpoint Mariah and make it seem like she's the only one that had something to say. Now, even though there was a lot of drama, they still ended up putting their differences aside and going to the Bamboo Rafts and enjoying themselves, but drama obviously followed them there because Mariahlynn, Sukihana, and Sapphire ended up getting into it again. When Mariah's raft ended up getting close to Sapphire and Sukihana's, they started saying that she smells and really trying to say things to get her mad. And so because Mariah didn't want any drama, she ended up getting off the raft. Suki started questioning Mariahlynn about the things that she heard. The girls were telling her that Mariah has been plotting against her and that she wants to fight her. And when she was saying this to Mariah, Mariah was saying that it wasn't true. She said that she wasn't the only person talking about her, that everybody in House A was talking about her too. I don't really think that Mariah was plotting against Sukihana. I think that she was talking about her like the rest of the girls in House A were doing, but I don't think that she was plotting against her. I feel like they made that up. Honestly, they could have planned this whole attack on Mariah because they wanted to make sure that Sapphire had a way to prove her allegiance to Sukihana, and so that's the reason why Rolly and Sukihana ended up making up, and that's the reason why they decided to do this little house meeting where they call out Mariahlynn. So to me, maybe they did that. I really truly do not know. Because at this point, Sukihana was cool with Rolly again because they decided to apologize to each other, but Sukihana still wasn't trying to deal with Sapphire, so maybe they came up with this whole idea to go at Mariah. So I don't know, that could have been what they were doing. They probably felt like if they stirred up some drama with Mariahlynn and say that she was plotting against Sukihana, that would be Sapphire's chance to prove that she's a real friend to Suki and Suki would forgive her. And so that's why I feel like they did this whole thing. I don't feel like it was genuine. Now, at this point, Sukihana is still on the raft, and, Sapphire and Mariahlynn are not on the raft anymore, and Mariahlynn is trying to talk to Sukihana to explain herself, and Sapphire is not really trying to let that happen that much. Like, she's not trying to let Mariahlynn get close to Sukihana. Now, Sukihana was telling Sapphire not to fight Mariah because she feels like Mariahlynn can't fight, and so I don't know what exactly happened that caused the two of them to fight. I don't know if Sapphire grabbed Mariahlynn or she tried to push Mariahlynn, but all I know is that while Mariahlynn was falling into the water, she grabbed Sapphire by the hair and pulled her in the water with her, and the two of them started fighting. I don't feel bad for Mariah because she thought it was cute when they were doing this to other girls on the show. But at the same time, I do feel like they turned on her, and I feel like they had a reason as to why they decided to do it. I feel like they were plotting and scheming on her. And I mean, she should have paid attention to who her friends really were, or she should have came on the show knowing that none of these girls were her friends. I personally don't think that she should have been talking about anybody with these girls because they're quick to turn on people, and I don't know why she thought she was going to be any different. But I do want to say that I feel like, Sapphire is really lame because the time for her to prove that she was a real friend to Sukihana would have been when it was 2 against 1, her against Rolly and ET. And because she didn't do anything, I'm not taking it seriously when she's trying to pretend to defend Sukihana against Mariahlynn, because honestly, Suki doesn't see Mariahlynn as a threat to begin with. So those are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies East. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button for me. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos and hit the notification bell so that you know every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to my channel. I appreciate you all. And until next time, I will talk to you guys in my next video.